What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode. My name's Kyle. So I want to go over how I rigged up my grafts in my competitor 185 ALUMACRAFT. I'm actually going to show you how I have it, and then I'm going to completely change it, and I'll tell you why. And maybe you guys are thinking the same thing. Maybe I can pop an idea in your head and just show you something different. So right from the get-go, the ALUMACRAFT, the 175 and the 185, they come with this kind of cool thing that like tucks down. I'm going to show you that, show you how it works, and explain to you why I'm going to change it a little bit. So one of the main reasons why I want to do this is because going across the lake, these do have quite a bit of movement to them. What I'm going to end up doing is getting rid of the ALUMACRAFT kind of tuck away thing. I'll show you how that works. And I'm going to put a piece of metal under here to hopefully reinforce the backing on this, and then get rid of that fold away system, which will in turn give me more storage in here, and then it should drop my grafts about maybe an inch or inch and a half down, so a little bit easier to fish over them if I'm doing that. So this is the compartment behind the grafts here. This is what we're working with. So here's the compartment. This is meant to lift up and then tuck down. So that's how that works. But maybe you're like me, you like to run bigger grafts. There's no way you're gonna tuck those down in there. Maybe if you had like a Helix 5 or a Helix 7, maybe it'll tuck down in there, but this is a 12, this is a 9, they're not gonna be tucking down. So I'm just gonna mount them solid right here. This is that little edge that plate comes up on and sits. Again, that's kind of how that works. I like it, but at the same time, I'm gonna change it up. So that's how I rigged it. That's how it has been working for the last year. But we're gonna put some holes through this, put some holes over here, put some aluminum plate behind it. Probably cut this in a strip like here. Cut it as a backer here. Cut another, maybe strip this way or this way. Backer over here for the 9. And then the hinge system is held on by rivets on the back side of that compartment. So I'm going to drill the rivets out and completely get rid of the hinge system, which will give me about 2.5, maybe even 3 more inches of space inside that compartment. So let's get at it, start tearing her apart, and get her set up. So before I go any further, you guys might be thinking, why don't you just pull your grafts off your ram mounts? And then, there we go. Tucks down in there, works good, right? But I want to do it a different way, I guess. It takes a lot of space up in this compartment. There's 3 parts to this. There's the part on the back wall, there's a part your grafts would sit on, and then there's the other part that sits up against the back wall once it comes up. And yeah, that takes quite a bit of space. So there's a rivet here, here. On the other side, there's a rivet and a rivet, and then this whole thing's gonna come out, putting the grafts here and here. Pretty simple. Let's get at it. All right, so I think I got one side popped off here. Just get the holes on the other. Alright, just like that, she's out of there. So this is the weird contraption. I mean, if you got a Helix 5 or some smaller grafts, perfect. But in a boat to this caliber, usually people are going to have some good electronics on it. And now I got some space in there, so that's kind of neat. Got some extra aluminum too if I want to do another. I could almost cut this off and use this as a backer down below here, but show you what's down here now and get on to the next step. Look at all this space we saved too. Pull this thing out of here. I mean, there's... Now we got some space down in here. All right, and take these rivets here. Just pound them back. These two over here too. Now the one thing about an ALUMACRAFT is your gauge cluster here on these 175s, 185s, they're held on by, I think it's like 8 screws. Just pretty simple little screws like this. So the part where the radio is and the gauges come out really easy, but where your switches are at, they shove it in there. So, I mean, when you're taking it out, I kind of pull out the gauges and then I'll see if I can do this all at once. I already kind of got it out of here, but what I do is I pull out the gauges first and then I'll slide it down towards the front of the boat a little bit, and then you can pop everything out. Like I said, I already did this. It's pretty tight, like I say, between here and here. It's so tight that when you pull, you're almost pulling these some of these connections off your switches because it is just so darn tight. So let's get you up inside of here. And them rivets that we popped through, them rivets are just back in here. This is the plastic that we're going to be mounting the graphs to. But that's why I'm going to put some type of backing plate underneath of this. All right, so I got my mounts off, set it down there, and oofda. That ain't gonna work how I thought it was going to because I'm not on anything back in here. Well, if I had another one of these, this is just a universal. You know what? I think I do have another one of these. It would just be backwards, it'd be upside down. But yeah, this is what I'm going after. Something here. I still have my the whole Ethernet cable and transducer cables going and run. They'll still come out of that compartment. There's a little cutout for them right here. Then yeah, I wanted to mount here. This round one ain't gonna work. So I'm gonna go see if I have another different one. Again, these are just typical Ram mounts. I think this is a 1.5-incher, which 1.5 is not supposed to run a Helix 9 or 12, but it works. So let's go see if we got a flat base to put on here instead. All right, so I ended up having another one. This is for a Helix 7, but that should take care of that problem. We'll slap this one right here. This one might as well go all the way over that way. And then of course the Ram mounts have, you know, some adjustment left, right, forward, backwards, kind of stuff like that. But down under here, there is a little spot between this board and the underside. So I can slide that aluminum all the way over across. And then, well, I don't know if I'm gonna get my bolts. If I put my bolts down and through, how I'm gonna get my nuts on right there. That's gonna be a tough one. There'd be no way to get bolts through back here. Unless I cut a notch out in this wood down here. So what I'm gonna probably have to do, cut a little notch in the wood so I can get a nut up in there on that bolt coming down. Yeah, it's not meant to have a graph here, so it's not gonna be easy. I thought it was gonna be quick, but a little bit more entailed than I thought. That's fine. Okay, so this is just probably a 2.5-inch piece of wood that's screwed on from this backside right here. So if we pull out these 3 screws, that piece of wood should come out. Then I can make my notches in that piece of wood where I need it. But that piece of wood is what holds this console on the boat. Now, please come off of here, please. Probably glued on or something dumb. The end was over here. What's going on? I bet you it's glued on. Somebody's laughing at me right now because they're like, oh, he's gonna pull the bolts out, but it's glued on. I'm gonna have to try to pry it off without breaking it. Come on. Oh my goodness. Yikes. Well, that board's got to be glued on. There's no way I can't pry that off of there. Next idea, could take a hole saw on the drill and cut out like a half moon if I could still get the nut on there. Well, that board back there is kind of stumping me, so I screwed it back on. I'm gonna cut out my strips for what I need underneath my backing support and think about how I'm gonna put my bolts through. You guys are probably shouting at me saying, do this, do that. I can't hear you though, and I'll figure it out. All right, here are my 2 pieces of aluminum to slide under there. Still figuring out how I'm gonna get nuts between the wood and the aluminum. And I made this dangerous hole saw thingy, and I'm gonna try to cut out like a half moon shape, and hopefully that's enough to thread on a bolt or a nut with like a washer on it on the bottom of the stuff. So basically what I have going on here is this is gonna mount right here. This is gonna go up here, that, and then I'm gonna try to take this half moon and cut like, I don't know, cut like that out right there, so then I can get my fingers in there and thread on that bolt up top. All right, guys, well, I think I fixed my issue with getting a nut on the bolt. I did take the hole saw, cut out a half a hole here, which should be able to get a wrench in here and a bolt through and the nut on it. I'm gonna make another one right here, and then that'll give me this one and this one. Then we're gonna move down here, this one and this one in the back. That one might be a little bit harder to get the drill in here to pop that one and that one, but I'm gonna swing this other one over, get her drilled in there. There we go. All right, so those holes should be pretty good. Now I got to do the part. What I'm gonna do is, got these set here. I did mark them. I'm just gonna drill through. I'm gonna hold the plate over it, and then I'm gonna dot the plate through these holes so I know exactly where I want to be at. Get that plate up behind there. That is some thin stuff. I think I'm already looking at a next plan is to mount a board here and then bring them up, but not all the way up, just flush. We'll see. Perfecto. Holes through here. All right, so backer plate, this, I'm gonna slap the backer plate under here. Not upside down. Haha, had a half a heart attack there. I had it this way, and I'm like, my holes! But it goes this way. Money! All right. All right, I just pushed the first bolt through here. Looking up down in here, you can see that bolt lines up pretty good with the little hole I made there. We're gonna keep going through with the rest. Get all the other ones in. There, I got a washer for the back side of them on. I don't really need it with the plate, but I'm still gonna put that on, and then just the little nylock nut. Look at, I can get my little mitts in here and I can put it on. Boom, just like that. Let's finish up the other ones. Hopefully it'll work like I'm thinking it's gonna. All right, guys, we got her bolted down here, bolted down over here. You see up inside of here, there's a plate, everything there. Same thing over on that side. I'm just hoping I push these wires back in here, don't rub. I don't think we will, just because of the well, it's further back in there, and the other screws I took out are poking out of that wood there. So yeah, I'm gonna put the dash back in, get the graphs on, see how she looks. Hope this works like I think it's gonna. Well, just like that. All right, guys, so just like that, got it put back together, got the 4 bolts holding it in. It is still a little wobbly, but it's not as bad as it was on that actual thing. And then there's a notch here. Like I said, there's a notch cut out here. So I got this full compartment now to, utilize that. The graphs do sit a little lower, which is pretty nice. So yeah, turned out pretty good. I just hope it holds up. The 12 back here scares me a little bit because she's kind of ducking in right there. But I was worried about this back part cracking, but I think it's gonna hold up. I think it'll be fine for quite some while. If it isn't fine, I'll talk about it and I'll tell you guys. But I think we're gonna be good. Stay tuned for the next project, because what I'm gonna do is run a whole LED light strip in here, which is gonna be pretty sweet, or two sets on a dimmer switch. So I'll show you guys how to do that and where I'm mounting the switch and whatever else not. So that'll be the next project. I gotta wait till it gets warmer though for the stickiness to stick. It's 30 degrees out today, so it's still pretty cold, but we're heading down the river. We're gonna do some river fishing on the Mississippi, so stay tuned for that. And guys, if you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. And like always, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next time.